it's Roma and welcome to my kitchen. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to teach you how to make my favorite chicken enchilada recipe, and I am a huge fan of rotisserie chickens. There are so many things that you can do with rotisserie chickens, and I use a rotisserie chicken in this. And you know, I've done a bunch of different Mexican recipes from my husband's family. This is not from my husband's family. This is something that I have concocted all on my own. My most favorite way to eat this is I take the leftover enchiladas in the morning, I chop them into quarters, I fry them up on the pan so they're nice and crispy, put a couple of easy over eggs on it, and oh my God, the bomb. So I'm gonna teach you how to make these today, so let's get cooking. Okay, so here are all of the ingredients that we're gonna use in today's enchiladas. So first you start with a rotisserie chicken. Wherever you shop, they usually have rotisserie chickens, except Trader Joe's. I don't know why they don't, but they should. Okay, next up is the enchilada sauce. This is my favorite. I have used it forever. Las Palmas enchilada sauce. I like it spicy. I like everything spicy, and I don't think this is spicy in the least. But I have 2 cans of that. Then I have, these are my favorite. These are king size Guerrero. Now, I bought these at Smart & Final. The only other place I can find them king size Guerrero is at Food for Less. Smart & Final, Food for Less, those are the 2 places. If you can't find king size, and I like king size because you can roll, you know, you can add a lot more meat in there. You can fit a lot more goodness in there, other than a regular tortilla. But if you only find regular, that's totally fine. We're going to chop this up and saute this and make it a nice translucent mixture. We're gonna add in, I've got my olive oil for the onion, and then this Erdes is my favorite, and you can find this at any market. And I also add some of this in, it's an avocado salsa. You can add either sour cream or avocado salsa, but I think this tastes better, and everybody said once I put it in, oh my God, what'd you do different? So this is my little secret weapon. And then I have cheese, queso. So this is a 4 cheese Mexican. I've also made this dairy-free with Daya cheese shreds, and it works just as well. So first up, we're going to chop our onion. We're going to peel it, and we're going to chop it into little bite-sized pieces, which we're going to saute on the pan in some olive oil. I just use 1 onion in this recipe, even though I'm making a dozen enchiladas. 1 onion is sufficient because you're going to have other ingredients that you're going to add to it. Add enough oil to coat the bottom of your pan and put your onions in. And you're going to saute these. I do it on a medium to medium high heat because I like little crispy bits, but if you like it just translucent, keep it on a medium heat. And just continue to stir it every 3 or 4 minutes until you get the consistency of a soft, translucent onion. You don't want any crunchy onions in your enchiladas. So these are good and ready to go, so we're going to remove them, and we're going to add these to our chicken mixture. They'll get stirred in there. Next up, we're going to shred this rotisserie chicken. Rotisserie chickens are one of my favorite things to use because they are so versatile. You can also make 3 or 4 chicken breasts at home if you don't want to do a rotisserie chicken, but it's pretty easy to just shred it and put the discards in a pile. I actually like to boil the discards, the bones, to make a bone broth, which I keep for other recipes. I also use it to pour over the dog's kibble because it adds a nice little rich flavor. But bone broth is very versatile, but if you boil a chicken with your discards of a rotisserie, just the bones and the legs, the thigh part, the back part, it does make quite a nice bone broth. So I leave the skin off of this as well. I don't put the skin in here. Some people do, I don't. And now you're just going to shred it. And this was a pretty big chicken, so I'm going to shred it, and then I'm going to take a knife and chop it into uniform pieces. So you just have a lot of small pieces of chicken, just a little bit at a time. Now, most markets do have these chickens. The only place I can't find them at is Trader Joe's. I wish they would make a rotisserie chicken, but maybe that's to come at a later date. So now you've got all your chicken, and you're going to stir in the onions and the chicken. And next up, you're just going to add some enchilada sauce. I just eyeball it. You just want to add a nice red flavor to it. You want to get all of the chicken coated, and so that it's not so dry. And that just adds a nice little flavor inside. And then this is the guacamole salsa. I usually pour in half a bottle, so this time I measured it out. It's actually a cup of guacamole salsa. You can get that at any conventional market except for Whole Foods. And then I pour in my cheese. And you're going to stir in that whole package of cheese with the enchilada salsa and the enchilada sauce. So now you've got chicken, cheese, onions, enchilada sauce, and enchilada salsa, and you just mix all that together. Next, you're going to soften up your corn tortillas. If you don't soften your tortillas, they're going to break when you roll them. So this is the way that Eric's grandma taught me how to make them, was to just put them in a little bit of oil until they start to get a little bubbly. And as they bubble, then I transfer them into the enchilada sauce. And you're just going to keep, it's like a little production line you've got going here. Now, I have a flame on the oil in the pan for the oil portion, but I do not have a flame on the enchilada sauce. It's just at room temperature. And I always like to just kind of throw in another tortilla underneath the tortilla that I'm frying up so that it catches any of the oil. Aw, my little guy. Checking for scraps. Okay, so now we're almost done. I actually making like 14 or 15 tortillas because I like to chop up a few of the tortillas and put them on the bottom of my casserole, my enchilada casserole, because I think it just gives it a nicer crust on the bottom. So you just continue your little assembly line here. You'll get pretty fast with it. I can do it within 5 minutes. I can get through all of these. It just becomes autopilot at some point. Now I pour the enchilada sauce on the bottom of the, this is a 9x13 roasting pan. And here I've cut those extra extra corn tortillas, I should say, for the bottom, that just gives it kind of a thicker crust. And now I'm just going to take a spoonful of my filling and fill every single tortilla. So I put the filling along the middle, then I flap over the top piece of the tortilla, and I use my thumbs and my fingers to push in the filling so it gets nice and tight, and then I roll it and place it in the dish. And you're going to do the same process with every single enchilada that you're putting in here. And if the tortilla breaks, which does happen, it's no big deal. Just tuck it in. It's going to be covered in sauce and cheese, and it's all going to mesh together anyway. So if you have a split like right there on top, don't worry about it. It happens. You can do what you can to prevent breakage, but they are very delicate. Tortillas are delicate. So I roll them along the side, the front of the pan, and then I stick a couple in the top side section. And then as I see I have more meat in the bowl, I just push these puppies over and just make room and crowd them all in there. I want to make sure I don't waste any of my yummy filling. So now I'm going to coat all of the enchiladas with the enchilada sauce. You don't want to leave any dry pieces of tortilla sticking up. And I use a knife to separate the tortillas so that that enchilada sauce gets right down in there and hydrates all of the enchiladas. And then you're just going to cover the top of your casserole with as much or as little cheese as you like. But I like to cover the whole top of it so that it's a nice, thick, cheesy crust. And I've also used Daya and Violife shreds, they work just as well. So now we're going to pop them into the oven. I have it on at 350 degrees on convection. But if you're going to do, if you don't have convection, I'd put it on at 375 for 30 minutes. And check it at 30 minutes. If it's not as gooey or as crusty as you'd like, then cook it for a little bit longer. But I do 30 minutes. And as you can see, voila! Look at that. It's got a nice crispy crust. And we are ready to dig in. Look at that. Delish. All right, so now I usually, for E, I cut 2 pieces of enchiladas. He likes 2. I usually just eat 1, but I'm going to put 2 on this plate. I like to top it with sour cream, and a good sour cream substitute is Forager. My daughter eats that, so I have that there for her. All right, here are my enchiladas. So I like to cook my enchiladas so that they get a crispy top. I love everything crispy. I'm a well done girl. So inside the onions I cooked on high. You could cook them on a medium to get them just translucent, but I like them to get a bit of crispiness. And when you take a bite of the crispy onion, it's an amazing smoky flavor that you get with your chicken and your sauces in here. The whole house smells amazing. This is one of E's favorite meals that I cook because he eats them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And throw a couple of eggs on top of here, and it's a fiesta. All right, let's take a bite, shall we? The explosion of flavor in here with the guacamole salsa I used in here, the onions, the cheese, the spicy enchilada sauce. You can get that enchilada sauce in mild or spicy. I like it hot. It's not that hot though. But I will tell you that this is my go-to recipe when I have large crowds of family over or friends. And it's just a great thing to have individually wrapped in your fridge. So I hope that you make them. Please drop me a comment below if you do and let me know how you like them. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. To get my recipe, click the link below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that bell for future updates.